Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. The Neo Geo Pocket Color was a great little console. Honestly, find me some bad games and I think you're really going to struggle. But today I want to look at the best of the best. The top 10, well in my opinion, the top 10 games from the console. Now as always, this is going to be my list, and I'm not going to lie, it's going to be heavily focused on fighting games. Well, because Neo Geos were known for that with SNK, and I'm a fighting guy, so it's always going to be bulked up on this list. But if there are ones I miss or you don't agree, let me know in the comments below. As always, if you really think I deserve it, please hit that like button, as well as the subscribe and notification bell to be let know when a new video comes out. We've also got the weekly podcast and a $1 a month Patreon, and the link is in the description below. Right, let's get into it, shall we? The top 10 games for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. At number 10, Pocket Tennis Color. This is the king of just one more match handheld addiction. Released in 1999, it's a perfect example of why the Neo Geo Pocket Color was a cult favourite. It traded realistic graphics for incredibly tight, snappy gameplay. It's pretty much straightforward, it's arcade-style tennis. You pick from a roster of cute chibi-style anime players and compete in tournaments to climb up the world rankings. The NGPC, the Neo Geo Pocket Color, it's just easy saying it that way, was famous for its micro-switch thumbstick that made a physical click when you moved it. This made aiming your shots feel way more precise than the mushy D-pads on the Game Boy. Now, since the handheld only had 2 buttons, the game uses a pressure-sensitive style. A quick tap gives you a soft shot or a lob, while a firm press lets you rip a powerful ground stroke. Now, there are different modes in this game as well. You've got Exhibition for a quick hit, Tournament for the long haul, and even a trial mode and mini-games to hone your skills. Now, as I said, there are multiple characters in this game, and each one has their own stats. Some are power types who blast serves, while others are technique masters who fry for the net. They have their own little funny win-loss animations that gave the game a ton of charm. The move from the Neo Geo Pocket to the colour version made a huge difference here. The colours are bright, the sprites pop, and it's easy to track the yellow ball against the green grass or blue hardcore. You can also unlock a special miracle racket that basically turns you into a tennis god. It's the ultimate reward for grinding through the tougher tournament brackets. And the AI is also surprisingly smart for a handheld back in 1999. They'll notice if you're hanging back at the baseline and drop a sneaky short shot for you to force to run. If you were lucky enough to have a friend with the NGPC, highly unlikely, you could use a link cable and the multiplayer was really good. No lag, just pure competitive couch co-op on the go. The NGPC had a great feature where you could basically suspend your game at any time as well. For a tennis game with long sets, this was a lifesaver playing on the bus or on the train or wherever you're going to be playing. Now, the game is mostly in English, but some of the flavour text and menus have that classy, slightly janky Neo translation charms that fan of the brand love. Also, this thing could go about 40 hours on 2 AA batteries. Compare that to modern handhelds that die in 4 hours, Pocket Tennis was an absolute marathon runner. This really is the definition of pick up and play. It doesn't try and be a deep simulation with complex physics, it focuses on timing and the click of the stick. It's bright, cheerful, and arguably the best sports game on the system. It proves that you don't need 4K graphics to have a high stakes tiebreaker feel incredibly intense. At number 9, SNK vs Capcom Card Fighters Clash 2 Expand Edition. Now, I love this series of games, and you're probably thinking, where's the first one? Well, I'm not going to lie, it's a bit higher up off the list. Now, you're back in a world where everyone is obsessed with a card game featuring SNK and Capcom icons. You travel to various locations, like a theme park or a mansion, duel NPCs, and win their best cards to build the ultimate team. This is a crossover fan's dream. You've got characters from Street Fighter, King of Fighters, Resident Evil, Metal Slug, Mega Man, and Samurai Showdown. If they're an SNK or Capcom legend, they're probably in here. You can play character cards to the field to attack or defend, to use powerful action cards, although you need special points to do so, and which you earn by having characters on the field. It's a simple to learn game, but gets incredibly tactical when you play it, and I'm not going to go through how you play it because my god, I'll be here all day. Now, this sequel adds 120 new cards, bringing the total to 424. There's also new reaction cards that let you counter-attack on your opponent's turn, and even the ability to play as a female protagonist. Every single card has an amazing look of famous characters. Even the scary ones like Nemesis or Laurie look adorable and cool at the same time, although I don't think it's as good as the first one. You can mix SNK and Capcom cards however you want. Want a deck with Ryu and Terry Bogard fighting side by side? You can do that. The synergy between different series is where the real strategy lies. This game captures that specific 90s, early 2000s energy where the SNK and Capcom rivalry was at its peak. The dialogue is full of nods to fighting game history and inside jokes for the fans. Now, this game actually never left Japan, so if you're going to do it, you've got to get a patched version, and without it, you're playing what the hell are you doing? It also, unlike the first one, actually tried to add a bit more of a story. So here you're trying to basically stop the mask guy from ruining the world of some sort, but rather in the first game where you're just kind of taking on different gyms. And just like Pocket Tennis, navigating your hand and selecting cards feels amazing because of the clicky micro switch joystick. Now, unlike the fighting game it's based on, this is a slow, methodical game. You can spend hours just staring at your collection and tweaking your deck to be 1% more efficient. Do I like it as much as the first one? Probably not, and I think a lot of that comes to the art style and the fact that they also changed some of the cards so they're nowhere near as good. However, it's still a really good game. It tries to take itself a little bit more seriously and tries to give players something different, so I'm really looking forward to playing the DS version, which is also available. It's an addictive loop of the Pokemon trade card game and injects it with the soul of the greatest fighting games of all time. It's charming, strategically deep, and serves as a perfect time capsule of a time when these two gaming giants were constantly crossing paths. At number 8, Dark Arms Beast Buster. Now this is the king of gothic Pokemon with guns. It's an action RPG that feels like a mix of Zelda, Ghostbusters and a monster collecting game, all wrapped in a spooky 16-bit-ish aesthetic. You play as Beast Buster, who plays a pack with a creepy guy called the Master, who looks like the Grim Reaper's chill cousin, and your job is to head into the Dark Realm to hunt monsters and craft the ultimate weapon. Now to begin with, you start with a catcher gun, and instead of killing zombies and ghosts, you use this to weaken and catch their souls, which is pretty cool. You then take these souls back to your base to feed them to your weapons, even coolest. And this is the game's coolest hook. Your weapons are basically living things grown from eggs. By feeding them specific monster souls, they level up and evolve into 30 different forms, like shotguns, tentacles, or even a laser that fills the whole screen. Time actually matters here as well, as some monsters only come out at night and certain paths only open during the day. You can sleep in your bed at the Master's house to skip time and heal up. It's got a great gothic atmosphere. For a tiny handheld, the vibe is surprisingly moody. You're exploring graveyards, haunted forests, and creepy towns filled with skeletons and werewolves. It's not also a 100-hour epic, it's a snappy, top-down run-and-gun when the strategy comes from choosing which elemental weapons, fire, water, electricity, to bring into each area. And that clicky stick strikes again. Aiming a gun feels great because the Neo Geo Pocket's micro-switch joystick, snapping to an enemy to catch their souls feel very responsive. Once you beat the main story, there's a 54 infinite dungeon where you can really test out your maxed out weapons and see how long you can survive. You also just can't spam attacks, like every weapon has a power bar that drains as you fire and recharges when you stop. It forces you to actually aim your shots instead of just spraying and playing. You can probably beat the main quest in an afternoon, but the real meat is the completionist grind, trying to see every single weapon evolution in the tree. Now, the English translation is a bit charming, aka janky, and the story is a little convoluted, and some of the dialogue is hilariously dramatic for such a cute looking game. Dark Arms Beast Buster is a moody, addictive little RPG that proves you don't need a huge budget to have a great gameplay loop. It's all about the hunt and grow cycle, going out into the dark to find food for your weird living guns. It's a bit short, but the unique weapon evolution system makes it one of the most creative titles on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. And number 7, Metal Slug Second Mission. Now this is widely considered one of the best games on the Neo Geo Pocket Color because it manages to shrink down the chaotic run and gun energies of the arcades without losing the soul of the series. You play as either Gimlet or Red Eye, and later a secret character, 2 elite soldiers tasked with stopping a rebel army and their mysterious alien allies. It's a classic Metal Slug, bullets, tanks and a whole lot of explosions. Unlike the first mission, this one has branching paths. There are 38 missions in total, but you won't see them all in one go. Depending on how you finish a level or which exit you take, you'll end up on a different route. Now, it wouldn't be Metal Slug without the slug vehicles. You get to pilot the classic tank, a submarine, and even a jet. They might give you the extra firepower and act as a shield until they take too much damage and go kaboom. You start with a basic pistol, but you'll quickly find the classics: heavy machine gun, rocket launcher, shotgun, and flame shot. On the NGPC, these feel incredibly satisfying to fire. The Metal Slug series is famous for its detailed, goofy animations, and this port is no exception. Characters have funny idle animations, and the way enemies fly off the screen when hit is pure arcade joy. Throughout the level, you'll find hostages tied up. Rescuing them gives you weapon power-ups or points. The game tracks every single one you save, giving you a huge reason to go back and find the ones you missed. Now though, even on a tiny screen, the bosses in this game feel massive. You'll be fighting a giant mechanical crabs, massive bombers, and a high-tech tanks that take up half the display. And this is arguably one of the best use of the NGPC's clicky joystick. Maneuvering through a bullet hell situation feels pixel perfect because you can feel exactly where you're aiming. Unlike the arcade version though, where one hit equals death, the handheld versions give you a health bar. It makes the game a bit more forgiving for playing on the go, but don't get cocky, it will drain fast. Gimlet and Redeye aren't just skins of each other either, they have different weapon specializations and start on different missions, making a second playthrough feel like a fresh game. And also, since the console has only 2 buttons, you'll have to press them both down at once to throw a grenade. It takes a second to get the muscle memory down, but once you do, you'll be lobbing bombs like a pro. This game has very little slowdown, which is a very common problem for the 8 and 16-bit handheld shooters, however here, everything moves at a brisk, smooth pace. Metal Slug's second mission is a masterclass in handheld porting. It's fast, funny and surprisingly deep thanks to its branching levels and hostage collecting system. It captures that big arcade feeling in a pocket-sized format, proving that on the Neo Geo Pocket Color was a serious contender for the best way to play action games on the move. At number 6, Samurai Shodown 2. Yes, it's 1999 weapons-based fighter that somehow managed to feel just as tense and lethal as its big brother arcade versions, even with just tiny adorable characters. God, I love this console. Based loosely on the 3D arcade game Samurai Shodown 64 Warrior's Rage, the story follows the return of the demonic Yuga the Destroyer. You pick a warrior and duel your way through Japan to stop a ritual that will unite the world with the Netherworld. Now the game's biggest strategic hook is Slash vs Bust. Before a match, you choose between Slash, Chivalry or Bust, Treachery. It's not just a palette swap, it completely changes your character's moveset, special attacks and even their ending. Unlike Street Fighter where you may spam fireballs, this game's about one big hit. One well-timed heavy strike can take a massive chunk of health. It's a game of footsies, spacing and waiting for your opponent to blink. As you take damage, your super meter fills up, and once it's maxed, your attacks do way more damage. You unlock your super, the weapon breaking move, and it turns every low health situation into a potential comeback. To keep you playing, SNK added a virtual card collection system. There are 8 cards per character, 4 for Slash and 4 for Bust. Collecting them though isn't for show, you can equip cards to boost your stats or unlock hidden special moves. In this roster, there are over 15 characters, including many icons from past games, plus newcomers like the mysterious Shiki and the Dark Swordsman Atora. It's a huge lineup for a small cartridge. The art style, as I mentioned before, is super cute because that chibi art style where it's super deformed with big heads and small bodies, but don't let the cuteness fool you. The game still has screen-shaking impacts and dramatic finishes that capture the series' gritty feel. The stages here are beautiful, ranging from Cherry Blossom Forest to ruins, and the music uses traditional Japanese vibes to make you feel like you're in an actual Japanese movie, even if it's coming out of a tiny mono speaker. Now, since the NGPC only has 2 buttons, the game uses the clever trick of a quick tap is a light slash, while holding it down for a split second delivers a heavy soul-crushing blow. Also, you've got that click stick. I'm not going to keep going, but it's really good here. The final boss, Yuga, is also notoriously cheap. He's huge, can eat you, and drops rocks from the sky. Beating on hard mode is a genuine gaming achievement. And also, this game loves its secrets. There are cheat codes to play as the hidden characters Shiki and Sakuro, or even the boss Yuga himself, if you're willing to do some specific joystick rotations on the character select screen. Samurai Shodown 2 is a masterclass in how to condense a complex fighting game into a handheld format without losing its identity. It's a slower, more intellectual fighter that requires patience over button mashing. With the added depth of the slash bust style and the card collecting metagame, it's one of the most content heavy and satisfying experiences in the entire Neo Geo Pocket Color library. At number 5, SNK Gals Fighters. I love this little game. It's a light-hearted all-female crossover that doesn't take itself too seriously, but still brings that world-class SNK fighting engine to your pocket. A mysterious figure named Miss X hosts the Queen of Fighters tournament. The prize? The K Talisman, which grants the winner any one wish. Most of the girls' wishes are hilarious, like wanting a bigger cage for a pet hamster or longer hair, making it feel more like a sitcom than a war. You get 8 starting characters and 3 unlockables, totaling 11 fighters. It pulls from legends from across SNK history, and of course Mai's in it, for God's sake. If Mai's not in it, it's not a SNK game, is it? The gameplay is typical one-on-one fighter. It's fast-paced, surprisingly fluid for a handheld. It uses the same tap for light, hold for heavy system as other NGPC fighters, meaning you can pull off legitimate combos with just 2 buttons. Now, instead of standard super moves, this game calls its finishers Mighty Bops. They're flashy, over-the-top, and often include adorable chiptune animations that show the personality of each character. The final boss is the mysterious Miss X, who is very clearly Iori wearing a dress and a mask. It's one of the most legendary jokes in SNK history, and yes, you can eventually unlock her as a playable character. Every character has a pretty burst move triggered by tapping down, down, A and B. These aren't just for damage, they can heal you, drain the opponent's meter, or trigger a goofy taunt. Now, since it's a wish-granting tournament, the endings are pure gold. For example, Mai wishes to marry Andy, but wakes up to find it was a dream where Andy was actually a girl. It's peak SNK humour. Now, when you finish an opponent with a mighty bop, the screen flashes 3 nostalgic images from that character's past. It's a sweet life flashing before their eyes touch that fans love the lore. As you play through the Queen of Fighters mode, you earn items you can equip to change your stats or give you special buffs for the next match. It adds a tiny bit of RPG-like depth to the arcade ladder. Each character also has a secret animation you can trigger by holding back and tapping option. They're usually just cute or fun idle poses, but they add to the collective feel of the game. The backgrounds themselves look bright and colourful, moving from amusement parks to sunny beaches. Even with that limited palette, the chibi sprites are packed with more expression than many modern 3D games. SNK Gals Fighters is a joyful, vibrant celebration of SNK's leading ladies. It traded the gritty tension of Samurai Showdown for a glitter and rainbows vibe that's backed up by rock-solid fighting mechanics. It's successful enough for anyone to pick up, but has enough Miss X secrets to keep retro fans digging for more. At number 4, Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure. Yeah, it's a Sonic game. This is a massive deal in 1999 because it was only the second time Sonic appeared on a non-Sega system, and essentially it was a greatest hits remix of the classic Genesis trilogy, or Mega Drive trilogy, whatever you want to say. So to set up, Dr. Robotnik is up to his old tricks, stealing animals and hunting for Chaos Emeralds. You play as Sonic, sprinting through levels that feel like a mashup of Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 to stop him. Now, while the zones look familiar, you'll see Neo South Island and Secret Plant, the layouts are actually 100% original. It takes the vibes of the Mega Drive games, but gives you new paths to master. This is the game's biggest flex, is this speed. Most handheld Sonic games on the Game Gear feel slow or cramped, but the Pocket Adventure is incredibly fast. It captures that loop-de-loop momentum perfectly on the NGPC hardware. Now, if you finish a level with 50 rings, you jump into a 3D half-pipe from Sonic 2. It looks surprisingly smooth and is the only way to snag the 7 Chaos Emeralds for the true ending. The music is also a love letter to fans, featuring chip-tuned remixes of tracks from Sonic 2, 3 and even Sonic Jam, and some of the best audio on the system. Now, hidden throughout the levels are puzzle pieces. Collecting them lets you assemble portraits of Sonic and his friends in a dedicated puzzle mode. It turns a fast-paced runner into an exploration game. The game is also famous for its in-between art style. Sonic has his classic proportions, but with modern green eyes, and Dr. Robotnik actually switches from his classic outfit to his modern Sonic Adventure look halfway through the game. If you have a link cable as well, you can race a friend. Player 1 is Sonic and player 2 is Tails. It's a frantic dash to the finish line that makes it just feel like competitive mode from Sonic 2. Unlike the original Mega Drive games, this is a battery backup that saves your progress after every level. No more leaving your console on overnight to reach the final boss. While SNK developed the game, Yuji Naka, Sonic's creator, supervised the project. That's why the physics felt right, and Sonic has the correct weight and bounce that other ports often miss. The bosses here are also clever remixes. You'll fight a version of Sonic 2 Chemical Plant boss, and even go head to head with Knuckles and Mecha Sonic in some pretty intense duels. The Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure is a rare masterpiece that bridges the gap between the 16-bit era and the modern era. It's not just a port, it's a refined, high-speed celebration of everything that made Sonic a superstar. It's arguably the smoothest 2D experience on any handheld from the time, proving that SNK and Sega were a match made in heaven. The King of Fighters Round 2. Released in 1999, it's basically a pocket-sized version of the legendary KOF 98, and it's arguably the most polished fighter on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Possibly. There's no really story here, it's a dream match tournament. You go up against the billionaire arms dealer Rugal, who's built a laboratory, or a ship, depending on who you ask, to clone the world's best fighters. In classic King of Fighters style, you pick a team of 3 fighters or go one-on-one. For the roster, you get 14 base characters from KOF era, including the icons such as Terry Bogard and Mai. Plus, there are secret and alternative versions of characters to unlock. And just like the arcade, you can choose your playstyle. Extra lets you manually charge your power bar, while Advanced builds it up as you attack. It's a deep mechanic for a game that only uses 2 buttons. Now you've got the Making mode. This is the game's secret weapon. It's a pseudo-RPG mode where you take a character through a quest to gather skills, and you can find over 200 items including weapons like handguns. Yes, a gun in a martial arts tournament, to buff your character. The sprites, they're chibi. They're all chibi, but they're incredibly expressive. Every punch, kick, fireball has weight to it. It's proof that you don't need high definitive graphics to have a cool looking fight. If your first fighter loses, your next one will get a little boost, either a shorter power gauge or extra stock. It means that every match feels like a dramatic back and forth battle. Also, if you were a high-tech gamer back in '99, you could link your NGPC to a Sega Dreamcast running KOF 99 Dream Match to transfer data and unlock special gallery images, which is pretty cool. Omega Rugal is the final boss, and he is cheap. He reads your inputs and will blast you with projectiles the second you even blink, and beating him is a rite of passage for every NGCP owner. There are secret characters and awakened versions of teams like the Orochi team hidden in the game. Unlocking them usually involves meeting specific conditions during your arcade run. King of Fighters Round 2 is a masterclass in handheld gaming design. It takes one of the most complex fighting games ever made and shrinks it down without losing the speed, the depth, or the soul. Between the addictive making mode and the near perfect controls, it's a must play that proves the Neo Geo Pocket Color was a fighter's dream. At number 2, SNK vs Capcom Match the Millennium. This is god tier legend of the system. Released in 1999, it wasn't just another port, it was the first time the two biggest rivals in fighting game history shook hands and let their characters beat the pixels out of each other, and is widely considered one of, well there's always one more ahead of this, one of the best games in the Neo Geo Pocket Color and one of the greatest 8 and 16-bit fighters ever made. You get 26 characters, 18 starters and 8 hidden from Street Fighter, Darkstalkers, King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown and Fatal Fury, and seeing Ryu fight Kyo or Chun-Li take on Mai was a childhood dream come true. You don't just pick your character either, you choose a groove. Average, which is Capcom style level gauges like Street Fighter Alpha, Counter, which is SNK style manually charge your bar like King of Fighters, or Rush, a neutral style focused on chain combos and high speed aggression. You even get options how you want to play it, whether it be 1v1, 2v2, or the classic 3v3 King of Fighters queue. It's a massive amount of variety for a little handheld. This is the peak usage of the NGPC joystick. The precision needed for the Capcom style Z movements or the SNK style half circles is perfectly handled by that clicky thumbstick. Now, you've got Olympic mode, which is basically a Sega style arcade mode on steroids. You choose Team SNK or Team Capcom and complete your minigames to earn points. You have Target 9, a Metal Slug shooting gallery, Blade Art, a Samurai Showdown dummy slashing speed test, Ghost Abyss, a Ghosts and Goblins platforming challenge with Arthur, or Catwalk, a Darkstalkers rhythm game starring Felicia. Now you can also master skills in this game and the points you get from that aren't just for bragging rights, as you can use them to buy secret moves for your characters. Each character themselves has a specific rival. At stage 4 you'll get a unique cutscene and a one-on-one duel like Ryu vs Kyo. If you lose to your rival you get the bad ending. The boss fights themselves features a tag team showdown against Geesehound and M. Bison. If you play perfectly you might even face the true bosses of either Ryu or Orochi Iori. Now to mimic a 6-button arcade layout, the game is hypersensitive to your touch. A quick tap of A and B is a light attack, a medium press is a medium attack, and a long hold is a heavy fierce hit. Now due to the hardware, characters only have a few colours, mostly white skin with coloured clothes. However, the animation is so fluid and the sprites have so much personality, you barely notice. The cutscenes here feature high quality full colour portraits of the characters talking trash to each other, and it made the crossover feel high budget and official. And when you beat the game, you get to uncover squares in a 9-tile grid. Once you reveal the full picture of a hidden character like Akuma or Yuri, they join your roster permanently. SNK vs Capcom Match the Millennium is the grand finale of the 90s crossover era. It's a love letter to fighting games fans packed with more content, modes and secrets than most console games at the time. It managed to blend two completely different design philosophies into one perfectly balanced, incredibly fun handheld package. At number 1, SNK vs Capcom Card Fighters Clash. Yeah, I said it was going to make an appearance again, and I'm not going to lie, I love this game. Now in this you choose to either play as Cap, which is a Capcom fan, or Shin, the SNK fan. Your goal is to travel to different theme park locations like a Resident Evil mansion or a Neo Geo land and defeat the regional champions to collect SC coins and win the tournaments. And just like Red and Blue, it released in two different versions, SNK Card Fighters version and Capcom Card Fighters version. Each had exclusive cards, meaning you had to trade with a friend via link cable to catch them all. Now it's a 3-on-3 character battle. You play character cards like Ryo or Terry to the field. If your opponent doesn't have a card to block you with, your character hits the player directly and lowers their BP, their battle points, to 0 and you win. Playing characters earns you SP points, soul points, and you spend these SP points to use action cards which work like spells, or to perform unite attacks where multiple characters can strike at once. Every card features incredible super deformed art of the character, and there are over 300 cards in total, covering everything from Street Fighter, King OF, to deep cuts like Metal Slug, Resident Evil and even Mega Man, and I love the artwork in this game, love it. Certain cards also have backup characters listed on them. If you have a Ryu on the field and play Ken as a backup, Ryu gets a permanent power boost. It's a great nod to the friendships and rivalries to the games. The world map itself is a love letter to arcade culture. You can visit the SC Park, which features areas based on Ghosts and Goblins or Samurai Showdown. It feels like a pilgrimage for hardcore fighting game nerds. And there's also an addictive loop of defeating NPCs gives you booster packs, like opening a new pack and seeing a rare S-rank card like Akuma provides a dopamine hit that rivals any modern gotcha game. Despite the characters being static images, the game feels so dynamic. Like when a card attacks, the screen shakes and flashes, and the character bursts out the card frame to show the impact. The music is catchy, but can be very repetitive, but you'll be humming the main battle theme for days, for better or worse. Like any card game, you'll occasionally get mana screwed or draw a bad hand, and winning a match against a boss when you're down to your last BP is incredibly tense. SNK vs Capcom Card Fighters Clash is a brilliant, simplified take on Magic the Gathering that swaps wizards for world warriors. It's an RPG that rewards exploration and deck building, offering a surprisingly deep tactical experience on such small hardware. It's widely considered one of the must-play titles of the systems, even if you're not a big card fan, and for me it is number 1. And that is it, my top 10 games for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. What do you think? Do you agree with this list? Or the ones I've not talked about? Let me know in the comments below. And as I said at the beginning, if you really think I deserve it, please hit that like button. I'll see you all in a few days from the video. My name's been Danny. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.